He thought he was walking into a hotel. He did not realize he was walking into a mirror. The lobby of the Harrington Grand smells the way money is supposed to smell: cedar, warm vanilla, and something faintly floral that costs more per bottle than most people's rent. The chandeliers don't glitter. They glow steady and deliberate, the way power tends to present itself. Everything is precise. Everything is curated. Everything is exactly the way Bennett Hale designed it to be, 12 years ago when he was 26 and too stubborn and too broke to know that building a 5-star hotel in downtown Ottawa was supposed to be impossible. He is 38 now. He owns 4 of them. And this afternoon, wearing a faded denim jacket with a fraying left cuff, carrying a backpack with a broken zipper, and sporting 2 days of stubble that his assistant Claudette once diplomatically called aggressively casual, Bennett Hale is about to walk through the front doors of his own flagship property as someone nobody in that building will recognize. He had done this once before, years ago at the Vancouver location. It had gone badly enough that he had restructured the entire front desk hiring process afterward. He is hoping today will be different. He suspects it won't be. The automatic doors part with a whisper. A bellman near the entrance glances at him. Just a glance, but Bennett catches it. The fraction of a second where the young man's eyes track from the backpack to the jacket to the shoes and back again, performing a rapid, unconscious calculation. The bellman does not move. He stays stationed beside the luggage cart, straightening a strap that was already straight. Bennett keeps walking. The lobby is busy for a Tuesday afternoon. A corporate group clusters near the elevator bank, lanyards around their necks, rolling suitcases clicking against the marble. 2 women in sharp blazers cross the floor toward the restaurant. A family with small children waits near the concierge desk, the father trying to fold a paper map that keeps insisting on being unfolded. Bennett heads for the front desk. There are 2 agents working the counter. On the left, a tall man, dark-haired, maybe 25, wearing the hotel's signature slate gray uniform with the gold Harrington pin on his lapel. His name tag says Devon. Devon is on the phone, and when Bennett approaches the counter, Devon angles his body very slightly away, continuing the call without acknowledging the new arrival. On the right, a woman, perhaps 30, dark brown hair pulled back simply, her uniform pressed and neat. She is in the middle of entering something into her computer, but she looks up the moment Bennett reaches the counter. Not a second later.
9.
Her name says Nora Whitfield. No. He catches himself. He glances again. Her name tag says Wren. Good afternoon, Wren says, and her voice carries the particular quality of someone who means what they say. Not the performed warmth that front desk staff sometimes develop, the professional glow that switches on and off with the shift. This is something quieter and more durable. Welcome to the Harrington Grand. Are you checking in today? I might be, Bennett says, setting his backpack on the floor. I was hoping to ask a few questions first. I've never stayed here before. Of course, take your time. She closes whatever she was working on without making it seem like a sacrifice. What would you like to know? He asks about room types. She explains them without looking at a screen, reciting the differences between the standard king, the junior suite, the Lakeview room with the private terrace, with a specificity that tells him she has walked every one of those rooms herself. He asks about the restaurant. She tells him the chef is local, the menu changes with the season, and that the breakfast service starts at 6:30 if he has an early meeting. He asks, half-jokingly, whether the gym towels are actually soft, because he stayed at places that claimed 5 stars and delivered sandpaper. Wren laughs, a real one, short and surprised like it caught her off guard. The towels are genuinely good, she says. I would not personally vouch for them if they weren't. From the other side of the counter, Devon has hung up the phone. He is looking at the exchange with an expression that Bennett can only describe as tolerant disdain, the look of someone who finds the entire interaction beneath them, but is too professionally cautious to say so aloud. Are you going to be booking a room? Devon asks, not quite interrupting, not quite not interrupting, or just browsing. The word browsing lands like a small cold stone. Wren's expression doesn't change, but something in her posture does, a subtle straightening. Mr. Bennett is still deciding, she says evenly, inserting a name and a courtesy, where Devon had pointedly used neither. He has some questions about the property. Right. Devon picks up his own phone, clearly performing busyness. Bennett decides to push it. Actually, he says, turning back to Wren, I think I left my wallet in the cab, my cards, my ID, everything. He pats his jacket pockets. I know how that sounds, but Devon doesn't even look up. We require a valid credit card and photo ID at check-in, he says. That's policy. Obviously. Bennett nods, still playing it. I'm just wondering if there's any way to. There isn't. Devon's tone closes a door. Wren doesn't miss a breath. There are a few options, she says. If you have a digital wallet on your phone, we can process through that. If you remember the card number, we can sometimes work with that for a temporary hold. And if you'd like to contact your bank to get a replacement issued, I can point you to a quiet corner with good phone reception. She pauses. Losing your wallet is awful. Let's see what we can do. The difference between the two responses sits in the air between all three of them. Devon is now watching Wren with a look that Bennett has seen before in workplaces. The specific contempt of someone who believes that being helpful to the wrong kind of person reflects poorly on you, as if kindness is a currency you can waste on undeserving recipients. You know, Devon says, lowering his voice with performative discretion that isn't actually very discreet, it happens sometimes. People come in, they look around, they pretend they're guests. It's a bit of a drain on everyone's time. Wren turns to look at him. Her voice, when she speaks, is calm and exact. Devon. He is standing at our counter. That makes him our guest. She holds his gaze for a moment before turning back to Bennett. I'm sorry about that. What would be most helpful right now? Bennett feels something shift in his chest. He has fired people for less than what Devon just did. He has also watched managers let it slide 100 times because Devon was charming in interviews and had good posture and folded his napkin correctly at the staff luncheon. The math of it has never sat right with him. You know what, Bennett says. Maybe I'll step outside and call the cab company. Give me a few minutes. Of course, Wren says. I'll be right here. He doesn't go far. He leans against the exterior wall around the corner from the entrance, his backpack at his feet, the Ottawa afternoon going gray and soft around him. He stays there for 12 minutes, not because he needs to call a cab company, but because he needs a moment to sit with what he just watched. When he comes back in, Wren is helping the family with the paper map. She has it spread on the counter, one hand holding the left edge flat, pointing out something with the cap of her pen. The father is nodding. The youngest child, maybe 4 years old, is staring up at the chandelier with her mouth open. Wren glances down at the child and smiles, and it is the same smile she gave Bennett, not performed, just human. Devon is on his phone behind the desk. Not the work phone, his personal one. Bennett walks up to the counter and waits until Wren has finished with the family. She folds the map for them, hands it back, and then turns to him with the same ease, like the 12-minute gap was nothing. Any luck? She asks. Found it, Bennett says. He holds up his actual wallet, which has been in his jacket pocket the entire time. Inside pocket. I overlooked it. She doesn't miss a beat. I'm glad. Losing your wallet is a particular kind of panic. The documents are worse than the money. That's exactly what I was thinking, Bennett says. He checks in, he pays. He goes up to a room on the 8th floor and sits in a chair by the window for a long time, looking out at the Rideau Canal, going silver in the late afternoon light, thinking about what it means to run a place and not know what's actually happening inside it. He orders room service. He doesn't call his assistant. He opens his laptop and he stays there, in the chair, until the city goes dark. The next morning, Bennett is back in the lobby by 7:15. Not in the denim jacket. He has his charcoal suit, the one his tailor in Montreal made 4 years ago, and that still fits like a second opinion. His shoes are polished. His phone is in his hand. He walks through the lobby with the particular stride of someone who does not need to announce himself, because the room tends to rearrange itself around him anyway. He goes to the front desk. Devon sees him first. The flicker of recognition, then the double take, then the rapid reassessment happening behind his eyes like a slot machine landing on lemons. Sir, Devon starts. Can I? Bennett doesn't look at him. Wren is on shift. She looks up when he approaches and he watches the moment she places him. Not from the suit, from the face. Something in her expression goes carefully neutral. Good morning, she says. Good morning, Wren. He says it clearly. I'd like to speak with you for a moment, if you have a minute. She glances at the desk, which is momentarily quiet. Of course. He steps to the side of the counter. Not to pull her into a back room or make a scene. Just to create a pocket of space where the conversation can happen without the whole lobby as witness. He's not here for theater. He had enough of that yesterday. My name is Bennett Hale, he says. I'm the owner of this property. Wren goes very still. Not the stillness of fear. More like the stillness of someone setting something heavy down very carefully. I came in yesterday to see how the hotel operates when nobody's performing, Bennett continues. You treated a man in a faded jacket with the same respect you gave the corporate group that came through at 4 o'clock. I watched you handle a dismissive colleague and an uncertain guest in a family with a paper map in about 30 minutes, and you did all of it without once making anyone feel like a problem. He pauses. That's not common. I want you to know I saw it. Ren is quiet for a moment, then she says, "Thank you. I appreciate that." Her tone is composed, but not cold. It is the tone of someone receiving information and deciding what to do with it. I want to offer you a position, Bennett says. Guest experience lead. It's a role I've been trying to fill for 6 months at the regional level. It involves training, service standards, cross-property evaluation. The salary is, he names a number that is considerably more than what a front desk agent earns. He waits for the expression he's used to seeing. The gratitude that tips into overwhelm, the eyes going bright, the small sound of relief. He has given good news to enough people to know what it usually looks like. What he gets instead is a pause. Can I ask you something? Ren says, yes. Did you come in yesterday specifically to observe staff? Was the lost wallet part of that? The question is quiet, direct, and lands exactly where it is aimed. Yes, Bennett says after a moment. Ren nods slowly. Something moves across her face, too complex to name simply. I appreciate the honesty, she says, and I'm glad you told me. Another pause. But I'd like to think about the offer if that's all right. I don't want to make a decision like that in the middle of my shift. This is not what Bennett expected. Of course, he says, after a beat. Take whatever time you need. She gives him a small professional nod and returns to the desk. Devon is watching from across the counter with the expression of a man who has just watched a safe land 1 foot to his left. Bennett goes to breakfast. He sits alone at a table by the window in the hotel restaurant, a coffee going cold at his elbow, his eggs untouched. He keeps turning over what she said. She asked him directly whether the whole thing was a test. He has offered this kind of opportunity to 2 or 3 people over the years, and none of them had ever thought to ask that. They had just said yes. They had been so eager to be chosen that the method of choosing hadn't mattered. Ren seemed to think the method mattered. He spends the rest of the morning in a meeting with his regional manager, reviewing Q3 numbers, and he gets through it adequately, which is the most he can honestly say. His mind keeps drifting back to the lobby. He finds himself wondering, for reasons that are not entirely professional, what she's thinking. 3 days later, he gets an email. It is not what he expected. It is not a yes or a negotiation or a counteroffer. It is 3 paragraphs, clear and measured, that begin, Mr. Hale, thank you for the offer and for telling me the truth about how it came about. I've been thinking carefully about both things. She explains that she appreciates being seen. She says she understands why someone in his position might want to observe a property without the performance of being recognized, that she has read about the practice, that she doesn't think it's inherently wrong, but she also says, plainly, that being tested without her knowledge felt, on reflection, like having someone read her diary and then compliment her handwriting. The observation was real. Her response to it was real. The gap between those 2 things is what she's been sitting with. She hasn't decided about the job yet, but she wanted him to know how she felt about the rest of it. Bennett reads the email twice in his car outside a parking garage on Sparks Street. Then he puts his phone down and looks at the windshield for a while. He writes back that same afternoon. Not a form letter. Not a paragraph shaped by his communications team. He sits in his car and he writes, Ren, you're right. The compliment was genuine, but the context was something you didn't agree to, and I understand why that changes the shape of it. I'm not writing to persuade you. I'm writing because you said something honest, and you deserved an honest reply. He hits send before he can second-guess it. They exchange a few more emails over the following week. Not about the job, about smaller things. She mentions a restaurant near the hotel that does an unreasonably good bowl of pho. He tells her about a property he's evaluating in Halifax, where the breakfast service is inexplicably excellent, even though the rest of the hotel is mediocre, and he can't figure out why. She writes back, It's probably one person. It's almost always one person. He thinks about that for days. The following Wednesday, she calls him. He is in his office, which occupies the top floor of a glass building near the Byward Market. And when he sees her name on his phone screen, he is aware of something he doesn't normally feel in this office, which is uncertainty. I want to say yes to the job, Ren says when he picks up. But I need to tell you something first. All right, I grew up in Sudbury, she says, My dad worked at the smelter. We were fine until we weren't, and then we were very not fine. I put myself through Algonquin College working the breakfast shift at a Travelodge on the 417. I know what it's like to be on the other side of a hotel counter when someone looks at you like you don't belong there. A pause. So when you walked in looking like you did, with that backpack, I didn't see a test. I just saw someone who maybe needed some help. That's all it was. Bennett is quiet for a long moment. That's all it ever needs to be, he says finally. I know, Wren says, but I wanted you to know that I know. There is a silence on the line that is not uncomfortable. Outside his window, a streetcar turns the corner below, and the sound of it carries faintly through the glass. The job, he says. Your terms within reason. Tell me what you need. She tells him. Her terms are specific, practical, and fair. She wants a 6-month review period with clear benchmarks. She wants to continue working some front desk shifts during that period, because she doesn't want to stop understanding what that work actually feels like. She wants the authority to make real changes to service training, and not just write reports that get filed and forgotten. He agrees to all of it. One more thing, Wren says. Yes, Devon. Bennett waits. I'm not asking you to fire him, she says carefully. I'm asking for the chance to work with him first. People end up like that for reasons. Sometimes it's fixable. Another pause. But if it isn't, I'd like to be the one to make that call. It should be someone who has to look him in the eye every day. Bennett thinks about 12 years of building things, the people he kept and the ones he let go, and all the calls he got right and the ones he got wrong. He thinks about what it means to trust someone's judgment. Done, he says. 6 months pass. The hotel has a new quiet about it, not the enforced quiet of a place that is telling you to behave. The particular quiet of a place where people feel on some basic level looked after. Repeat bookings at the flagship are up. A travel blogger from Toronto writes a piece that gets picked up by 2 national outlets describing the front desk experience in a way that makes Bennett's communications team call him, slightly confused, to report that the hotel is going viral for customer service, as if that is an unusual thing to go viral for. He supposes it is. Devon is still there. He is not the same Devon. Wren, it turns out, had been right. It was fixable. Mostly. He is not warm, exactly, and probably never will be, but he has stopped treating uncertainty as an imposition and started treating it as a question that needs answering. It is enough. For now, it is enough. Bennett is in the lobby on a Thursday morning in early March, ostensibly reviewing a facilities report, actually watching a new front desk agent struggle gracefully through her 3rd week. Wren comes out of the back office, reads the situation in about 4 seconds, and positions herself beside the new agent in a way that looks like proximity, but is actually a quiet, lateral kind of teaching. The guest at the counter doesn't notice the scaffolding. Nobody does. That's the point. Wren looks up and sees Bennett watching. She doesn't change her expression. She just gives him the smallest nod, the kind that means, I see you seeing this, and I'm fine, and so is she. He nods back. He has not said everything he wants to say to her. He suspects she knows this. He also suspects that they are both, for the time being, content to let a few things remain in the space between professional and personal, where they sit without urgency, belonging to no category, waiting patiently for the right moment, the way some things do when they are real enough not to need forcing. The lobby hums around them. A child runs toward the revolving door. A couple checks in for an anniversary weekend, the husband wearing a tie that doesn't quite match his jacket, the wife pretending not to notice. Outside, the March Light is doing what March Light does in Ottawa, arriving late and leaving early, and being unexpectedly beautiful in the brief window it allows. Bennett folds the facilities report and puts it in his jacket pocket. He has built a lot of things. He understands slowly that the most important ones were never the buildings.